TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. This is East Coast Sports Investors Closing Bell for Tuesday, July 2nd. I am your currently solo host, but soon-to-be co-host of the Closing Bell here on this fine Tuesday evening. Mr. Jeff Dawson will be joining me very, very shortly, talking all things Tuesday night action. And for the most part, maybe a little recap of what we didn't get a chance to talk yesterday, so maybe a little recap of this past weekend. But for the most part, talking all things Tuesday evening baseball. So very, very excited to jump back in the saddle. Only 3 games last night, so nothing crazy to talk about as far as the world of baseball. One upset, and then a couple mostly status quo on the bases last night. A couple extra inning games, so some fun baseball to watch. But we've got a pretty full slate with no games out of the way just yet. So we will talk about anything that we see fit in tonight's case. But of course, I had to give props to this past weekend as far as the golf tournament was concerned, as well as the UFC fights were concerned. Cam Davis takes the cake in the Rocket Mortgage. Obviously, many people becoming Akshay Bhatia fans. But needs a little bit more of the clutch gene as we're concerned here so far. I've got a lot of faith in him. Obviously, he's still a long way to go to learn how to win on the tour, but I think he'll be better off for it in the long run. As far as the UFC is concerned, had a couple that were okay looks from my side of things, but obviously a couple swings and misses from me in this one as far as how the outcome of some of these fights is concerned here. The first one being my guy Ricky Simon loses in unanimous decision. I said if he was losing, it was probably going to be knockout. Vinicius Oliveira looked really, really solid and really, really dangerous. And that's no slouch on Ricky Simon. That's a lot of credit towards Vinicius Oliveira himself there. So didn't have many other thoughts on the prelim cards there. Ian Machado Gary wins unanimous decision. Roman Dolidze, that was one that I was a little more confident in as getting the unanimous decision. And then obviously Dan Ige coming out of the woodwork out of nowhere to take on Diego Lopez. And then, of course, we talked about the bad man that is Alex Pereira coming in and knocking out Yuri Prochaska. So I thought that one would go a little bit longer, but obviously a quick bout there. But for the most part, quick bout there. But other than that, we've got some good fights in the next few weeks coming up until the next pay-per-view, which is 304. At the end of July here with Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad, a very, very, very good title fight there. You got a heavyweight title fight, which at the moment, not as much, not the most star-studded at the top of the heavyweight division right now, but we should have some guys coming up there. You get Paddy Pimblett coming back at the end of the month there. So that is always an exciting one. I believe we might be overseas in London for this one, or Manchester for that one there. So it is in England, so that'll be a fun one there. And you got Rose Namajunas, not this upcoming week, but the following week, fighting on the main card of the fight night there, and then only a couple fight nights before that pay-per-view there. So we'll be obviously updating once we get there. But at the end of the day, always fun in the world of UFC. And I know as far as East Coast sports investors go, I try to give my insight as much as I can. Wouldn't call myself a bona fide expert as compared to many other people in these lanes as far as the UFC is concerned, but I take my licks when I can. Try not to take the licks. I try to give out licks when I can, but you know what I mean there. So shout out to Mr. Barry, Sports Highlights. Thank you for stopping by as always. Your participation is always appreciated, my friend. Always great energy coming out of the gates for these shows. So we always do appreciate you, my friend. Before we get out of the way and get Jeff Dawson, stick around after the show. We believe we've got Scotty Webb breaking down some Tuesday night thoughts on of his own for the baseball world tonight. Always insightful there. So definitely want to stick around with that. But before we get into it, and before Mr. Dawson gets there, I know, like we said, talked about golf from this past weekend and baseball last night. So why don't we just go ahead and dip our toes into the water as far as the baseball world is concerned? First one up tonight, my friends. I think there's 2 or 3 that are even as far as start times here. But my White Sox, unfortunately, my White Sox right now. But my White Sox in Cleveland for a red-hot Guardians team, 52-30, has taken this division by the reins and doesn't appear to be looking back too much here. You've got a little bit of maybe not a struggle, but a cool off point this past weekend against Kansas City, who's obviously behind them in the division. But even with that, they've still got a 6-game lead on Minnesota, 7-game lead on Kansas City. So they still have the stranglehold on this division at the moment here. And unless those two teams make some moves, Cleveland, at least top to bottom, seems to be the most well-rounded, well-coached team, as we've seen from them the past few years. So I don't know that they're going away anywhere anytime soon. They'll probably have a point where they're a little cooled off as far as their bats is concerned. Obviously, some holes in their lineup a little bit there. But at the end of the day, tonight's case, you've got Carlos Carrasco against Chris Flexen for the White Sox there. Carrasco, good the last 2 times out, but obviously his numbers on the season are not looking fantastic. So it is, I don't think this number, Cleveland, minus 215 on the money line at home here, a pick 'em as far as the run line is concerned. So a lot of respect, despite the ugly season that Carlos Carrasco is having. But you've got a red-hot Cleveland team and an equally bad pitcher to this point in the season that the White Sox are rolling out in Chris Flexen as well. Flexen last time out, 4 earned runs, couple of bombs, 3 walks and 3 Ks. That is against a solid Dodgers lineup, despite a couple of injuries. Still a solid Dodgers lineup. Has shown a couple of flashes this year of competency, but for the most part, it has been a little bit of an ugly stretch for Chris Flexen. These guys' numbers actually aren't that far off from each other is the interesting part about this one. But, of course, you have a White Sox offense that is pretty tough to watch in most cases here. They've shown a little bit of sign of life here and there. They did take 2 out of 3 from the Colorado Rockies in Chicago. But before that, up until they ran into a bad Colorado pitching staff, offense was in rough shape as well. So I am definitely staying away from this one. I think this is a great chance. Kind of a good suggestion that this Cleveland team could be putting up some runs of their own tonight. You've got to get over 4.5 is juiced way over, so very tough to get into that one. Not really worth your while. So you almost have to go for a full, as Jeff Dawson likes to say, the touchdown of 6 points there, or 6 runs, I should say, over 5.5 there, to get anywhere near any reasonable odds on that one. And I think it is, whether it be off of Chris Flexen or this bullpen, and coming off of losing 3 out of 4 to Kansas City, their own other division rival that is actually in contention. They are probably going to be a little hell-bent on rectifying this past weekend, getting themselves back on track, and not letting this bad White Sox team take anything from them here. So over 5.5 plus 120 would be my suggestion out of this one if you're trying to get in here. Probably not any White Sox action. Would it surprise me if the White Sox offense stayed competent here after this nice weekend that they just had? Maybe. But at the end of the day, not something you want to put full trust in there. But I do think Cleveland's offense should be good to wake up or show up in this one and handle business. I don't want to say wake up because they did have a couple days where they were putting up some decent runs. But for the most part, after that hot streak, offense cooling down, pitching staff should be able to get back on track for Cleveland there. Next one at the same time, St. Louis and Pittsburgh. That one is in Pittsburgh. You've got Mitch Keller start for the Pirates today at home against Kyle Gibson. Gibson's starting to come around a little bit after a rough stretch. Last time out, 4 hits, but 4 earned runs off of 5 walks and 4 Ks. Before that, had a nice little stretch going after a little bit of a struggle to start the season. So he's been a little hit or miss, kind of the same Kyle Gibson we know. But Mitch Keller is actually pitching really well these days. Last time out, 3 earned runs, but limited the hits for the most part there. 3 walks, 6 Ks. In this month of or in this past month of June, had a sub-3 ERA, kind of close to a sub-3 ERA in general for the entire season overall as far as keeping the runs off the board. But you've got a lineup that has seen Mitch Keller quite a bit here. So Pittsburgh minus 125. Two teams that are pretty close in record. Cardinals above 500 right now, 43 and 40. Pirates on the flip side of that, 40 and 43. So a Pirates team at home with a what you would see as a potentially favorable pitching matchup is only minus 125. A little not enough respect for me, for my liking for this Pittsburgh team. So I am a little concerned about that. Like I said, you got a lineup in St. Louis that has seen Mitch Keller quite a bit in their career and in his career. You've got 5-6 guys that have seen him double-digit times. So as I go into only game number 2, my friend, we get the man Jeff Dawson back. So I held down the fort for you, my friend. But ladies and gentlemen, the co-host of the Closing Bell, this is Jeff Dawson.
Thank you so much, Riley, for starting us. You wait days, weeks, sometimes months for phone calls, and it just so happens every time we're about to start a show, you get one of those. So, excuse me, shout out for holding down the fort. Full slate of baseball, some WNBA, ECSI VIPs last night, 1-0. Brewers team total over 6.5. Got to 7-7. I said in the alert we needed the extra point, and we got there. And then, of course, the Brewers eventually lose. One of the beauties for doing these team totals where we don't have to worry about squandered leads in the 8th or 9th. Get in, get out, change the station, and we move on. WNBA, we had under 28 in the hook points. I always screw this up. Points, assists, and rebounds, and it landed on 28. So we'll cash that one. We didn't get the stolen base prop, but overall, a great night to start the week. I find it kind of comical, Riley, and I know we'll eventually get to the game. I know everyone says it's Patrick Corbin Day. I know when it's Paul Skeens Day. Well, I missed the first day of the comeback of this, and Dallas Keuchel Day. Now, I will tell you this, and I'm not exaggerating. I can throw harder than Dallas Keuchel, or I used to be able to throw harder than Dallas Keuchel. And it's funny because we had the Brewers team total over 6.5 last night. And that's a big number. And even though it's in Coors Field, but the point is their team total tonight is 5.5 over. Actually, the Colorado 5.5 juiced under minus 120. So man, it's almost like a tease. You go to the well one night on a team. Now you're going again. And it's almost like an 11.5. It's like teasing you. I mean, Colorado scored 8 last night, and they're like, "Come on, it's Keuchel. That's all they're going to score is 6, and they don't even need the extra point." So I wanted to bring that one out there. It's a short week. It's a holiday week. Tomorrow. I will be trying to bring Andrew McGinnis back at 3:00. We started the show yesterday. His internet was horrendous. We froze 20 times. I just shut it down. We're going to try to get him in at 3. 5:00 will be Brady Kannon. I think it's the John Deere this week. I think we go John Deere, then the Scottish Open, and then we go the British Open. So we get some good golf coming up there. Thursday is the 4th of July, so it will be probably dark here. Have an opportunity. I will be on Sports Grid tomorrow night at 8:30. I will put the 9-0 heater to test, so hopefully we will find some nuggets there. Potentially can go on at 4:30 on 4th of July, and I'm figuring that one out. So a lot there. Again, thank you so much for getting us started, and I'm passing the torch again.
Well, you're jumping right in this Pittsburgh and St. Louis conversation. I was kind of setting the stage a little bit here, so curious on what you're thinking with this one. You got a Pittsburgh team minus 125 on the money line at home here. You've got Mitch Keller, who appears to have he's pitching well this season, obviously, appears to have a little bit of a pitching edge there. But as I was kind of saying when you popped in, both these teams have seen these pitchers quite a bit. Keller a little bit more so. This St. Louis team has seen Keller. I think it was as you were popping in, said 5 of the guys in their lineup have seen him double-digit times in their career, if not a couple guys seen him 20 times. So I'm curious, Pittsburgh minus 125 with Keller on the mound. Would you have respected a bigger number than this? Is this a little stinky tonight in Pittsburgh?
From my eyes, I'd respect St. Louis as a favorite. So I'm going the other way here today, where I think that they're kind of the way I'm reading the board here. They're looking for Cardinal money. I would have respected a pick 'em. I had an overnight number of Pittsburgh minus 125 right now at the Circa. Good afternoon, Mr. Benson, Mr. Metcalf, and Mr. Stevens. It's down to 118, so they're getting some of that Cardinal money. Both team totals 3.5 juiced over minus 130 for St. Louis. Pittsburgh 3.5 over minus 135, and under over a 7.5. I think first 1 to 4 gets this one. And Kyle Gibson's my kryptonite. Yeah. Bet on him. Pittsburgh will put up 5 in the first, no doubt about it. Bet against him, he's Cy Gibson. So real tough. I love where your eyes are. Slight lean to Pittsburgh, but I'm staying far away.
Fair enough. I was going to say, not one that was knocking me off my chair by any means, but I've been liking what I've been seeing from Keller, so I was a little curious to see the numbers here, but I can pick up what you're putting down. Already broke down a little bit the White Sox and Cleveland game. I'll kick it over for the most part here to you for your Red Sox. Not in Fenway, where you are sitting in front of right now. They are down in Miami. You've got Cutter Crawford on the mound, 3-7 record, but 3.59 ERA. Solid K rate right now in this season that he's having right now. 5 hits, 5 runs total, 3 of them earned, 3 bombs allowed, 2 walks, 7 Ks last time at Cincinnati. Now heading down to Miami against Valente Belloso. Second start of his career here. First time out, 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 2 Ks. Anything to make out of this one? Boston minus 155 or so here on the money line, depending on where you're looking.
Boston historically, when they started the National League, plays the American League. The Red Sox historically on the road in the National League parks had a huge winning percentage. On paper, you would fully expect the Red Sox side here. I'm looking at some numbers right now. The team totals: Red Sox 4.5 juice under minus 120. Miami 3.5 juice under minus 125. A flat 8 under over. Overnight number of Boston minus 165. Currently 152. It smells here. I'll be honest with you. It smells. The 8.5 has gone to an 8. You would think some regression on the Miami pitcher side. I'm a big Cutter Crawford fan. I would just suggest this. If you like the Red Sox today, I would do a first 5 minus the hook. I would get in and get out. That's the way I look at it. I do lean Red Sox here, but that's the only way currently I would play it.
Yeah, and I mean, this Miami team, not to praise them by any means, but their offense has shown a little sign of life this last week or so, and not at least comparatively to what we've expected from them, I should say. Not burning any doors down here, but they've had some games this past week or so where they've woke up a little bit here. So definitely something to be aware of there, and who knows, obviously start number 2 for their pitcher here. So curious to see what we see out of him tonight.
And kind of a shame. I correct me if I'm wrong. Made a move today. DFA'd Tim Anderson. So he is now available, I think, to anyone that what happened to him? What is wrong with him?
I have not been paying attention to him closely in Miami because he hasn't been playing well, and out of the White Sox organization, I kept up tabs on his numbers and obviously saw that he wasn't doing well. I don't know. I mean, as far as in Chicago, he had some injury issues that seemingly kind of affected his performance. Thought he would have been fine coming down to Miami to resurge a little bit, but obviously not the case. And he's as White Sox fans always loved him for the most part until maybe the last year or so, where his attitude when they were losing wasn't quite where he wanted it to be. So, being a part of a losing clubhouse, I'm curious to see if this was on top of his performance also an attitude issue as well. I don't know that to be a fact. I mean, the city and the team was behind his back for a lot of everything that was going on in Chicago for most of the time, especially when they were, good or even mediocre. But these last couple of years, obviously, I know when he was in Chicago, it was some shoulder issues. Don't know if that lingered into what it was. But, I mean, as far as he always was a guy that was swing and miss capability, but always a guy with great hands and always put the ball in play. So it has been weird to see this continued decline here.
And Miami made it pretty clear real early that they were punting this season. Their best pitcher, after 2 starts, they sent down to the minors. We haven't seen him since. A lot of strange moves for a team a couple of years ago that was right there in the playoff hunt. I don't get it. Derek Jeter, the female woman in charge, a lot of shit going on in Miami, and it hasn't been pleasant. And it's got to be tough, especially baseball is such a long season, 162 games that you got to get to the park early. You got to get your reps in. You got to do this and that. Then you play through a 3-hour game, and you do that 162 times. And 20 games into the season, they pull the plug on you. It can't be easy, Riley.
Right, and comparatively, the White Sox actually, obviously, delusion at least had tried to instill some spunk into who they were bringing up and their their fan base, which was fraudulent and delusional. But at least, like I said, there wasn't an obvious plug pull other than the roster that they rolled into the season. But yeah, especially for a team that, like you said, the last couple of years was not a World Series contender, but a fringe feisty team there. It obviously is tough there, especially for a team that still has some talent. Around their organization as well. So moving on down the list, we don't have to hit every single game here, but you've got Reds and Yankees in New York there. Luis Gil, as I recently was corrected from I think in past years calling him Gil. But Graham Ashcraft on the mound for Cincinnati there. Graham Ashcraft. Not so great lately. Last 2 times out, 6 hits, 4 runs against Colorado. In Colorado, last time out, 5 1/3, 9 hits, 6 earned runs against the Pittsburgh Pirates at home. Luis for New York, having a good season, but these last 2 have hit some regression. Against Baltimore a couple weeks ago, inning and a third, 8 hits, 7 runs. Last time out, 4 1/3, 4 hits, 5 earned runs on 4 walks, 2 Ks there. And we've got a big favorite number here for a Yankees team at home, minus I see 215. Not sure what you're seeing as well as current numbers there, but are we looking at a statement here for Gil and the Yankees to bounce back, or is this a kind of an indictment on where we've gotten to this point in the season with the Reds here?
I think a little of both. I think the number opened up a little short in my eyes, and the books have got what they wanted. I had an overnight number of the Yankees minus 185, the Reds plus 155 currently at the Circa. Yankees now minus 210. You can get the Reds at plus 190. 8.5 is where it sits. Some team totals: Yankees over 4.5 minus 135. And the Reds 3.5 under minus 120. Mr. Gil, or as I would like to say, Gil as well. It's Gil. Turner Gill, used to quarterback for my Nebraska Cornhuskers. My point is, I think there's some strange numbers here. Why would I lay 220 when I can get the Yankees to get to 5 or better and only lay 35 cents? That's the first question I would ask. And the only way that I would play this is 2 ways. I would play the Yankees first 5 minus the hook, or I'd play the Yankees full game minus the 1.5. And I've done that once this year. We're 1-0. We had Baltimore last year. I don't like to do that because we're only guaranteed 24 outs. We're not guaranteed the 9th inning. So let's just say we had a 4-0 lead and they bring in a relief pitcher and walk and base hit and 3-run homer. Yankees win 4-3 and we rip up the ticket. So I don't like going down that lane. But I'm just going to say this: buyer beware, because I think there's some numbers that are short today. They're going to get you to lay the 35 cents for the Yankees to get to 5. They're going to get you to lay the lumber. As much as you think Yankees, Reds, and runs, this is probably the 4-3 final. Yankees team total stays under. Reds team total stays under. The game stays under. And the only thing that wins is when you got to risk 210 or better.
Right. Now, it's a tough one. And I mean, at some point, Ashcraft is going to bounce back a little bit. Whether it's sustained success or not is not really the point. At some point, he's got to have a whether it's luck or just a good game in him at some point here. I do feel I would feel pretty decent about Heel bouncing back a little bit here tonight, but outside of that, I'm with you. I'm not confident enough to dive deep into anything here with this Yankees team. And Reds, obviously, the only thing helping the Reds is that the Cubs have been just as bad or worse these last 2-3 weeks here in the NL Central, and NL playoff chase is still wide open. So time for them to bounce back, but obviously it's ugly sledding for them right now. A team that has gotten themselves back into the AL picture, Houston Astros in Toronto, minus or close to a pick 'em here. Not sure what you're seeing for the on your numbers here. I see Blue Jays minus 115 on this one public book here. Spencer Arrighetti for the Astros here. Not so great so far this season. However, last time out, 7 innings, 3 hits, no walks, 10 Ks. This is his first season of his career, so that is the best start that we have seen from him in his season. That was at home against the Rockies. He is facing the Blue Jays. And our guy, or sometimes our guy to bet against, Jose Berrios for the Toronto Blue Jays. Last time out, solid start himself. 7 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 bomb, 3 walks, 8 Ks against the Yankees. A little bit of a rough stretch there, those 2 or 3 starts before that, so he did bounce back last time out. He has been a little more consistent than we've been accustomed to these last couple of years. Obviously, there's still some bad starts in him here and there, but would you have preferred, you had a 43-41 Astros team and a 38-46 Blue Jays team. Would you have preferred this Astros team to be a little bit more of a statement as far as this one is concerned with Arrighetti on the mound?
Your eyes are spot on. Why aren't the Astros favored today is my first question. Sunday, was it Sunday? Yes, Sunday, when we took the Giants against the Big Maple and the Dodgers, and I said James Paxton is like that box of chocolates. You just don't know what you're going to get. And Berrios is exact same thing. Which Berrios are we going to get? I would have respected the Astros minus 120, 125. They won the month of June for the most wins in MLB. Shout out as usual. And again, credit where it's due to Gil Alexander on VSiN for calling that one. He called the Kansas City Royals, by the way, this month. So if your shop still has it and available, he likes the Kansas City Royals to have the most wins in the MLB for the month of July there. I'm looking right now, and they got a little money in on Arrighetti. When I see that name, I think of the ex-Yankee pitcher, Dave Righetti. And then the next thing that comes to mind is Armageddon for some reason instead of Arrighetti. So my point is, if I had to play the game, I'd play Toronto. Like the Yankee game, the team totals, they're begging you. 3.5 juiced over for the Astros, minus 145. 3.5 juiced over, minus 145 for the Jays with an 8.5. You would think first one to 4 or 5 wins this game. I like the Jays in the full game today. That's where I like it.
I'm with you. I am 100% with you. I was trying to see if there was any way to had someone on the Astros that I was interested in for a home run prop, but if I'm thinking Berrios is on his stuff and the Jays are winning, I'll stay away from an Astros home run prop. Arrighetti's allowed, again, he's been a little sporadic in his opening season here. 8 home runs allowed. Two games he's allowed 3 home runs each. So for the most part, not a guy who gives up home runs, but if we're talking about a blow-up game, and this is one of the games where the ball's jumping out of the park, then you can go ahead and take some odds for him. But typically not a guy that allows home runs for Arrighetti here.
No, and Vladdy's hot. Vladdy was real hot. He got pulled. We were doing the show with Andrew on Canada Day yesterday, and Vladdy was in and got pulled an hour to go. So I don't know if Vladdy's in. Bo's starting to warm up there. George had a Springer had a little tear there. So the big three starting to warm up. And of course, in a dome setting, lefty versus righty, you would always have to add Alvarez for Houston there.
Yeah, Alvarez is actually 295. He could go for a bomb himself. But on the Blue Jay side, Vlad 370. So not really a big fat statement, kind of in line with, maybe a favorable matchup. But unless we're talking about another game where he's going multi-home runs allowed for Arrighetti there. Not a guy that gives up home runs, so credit to him in his rookie season there. Good game. We talk about these teams a lot, Giants and Braves. You've got Birdsong on the mound to start the game for the Giants. This is his second start. He is 22 years old, second start of his career. Last time out against the Cubs, 4 2/3, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, a homer, 3 walks, 5 Ks. So nothing to write home about as far as a major league debut, but didn't get chased out of it too heavily there. And Reynaldo Lopez, former White Sox pitching for the Atlanta Braves, has been on fire for just about the entire season. I think he's got one start allowing over 2 runs. Other than that, 2 runs or less in every single start this year, at least earned. 2 or less in every single start except for 1. He is pitching phenomenally. They've done a good job of they don't really let him go past the 6th inning. Don't let him go too deep into the third time through the lineup as far as the management of him. In this case here, they are pretty big favorites here tonight, minus 200. Braves back up to 46 and 33, 46 and 36. They are starting to turn the wheels a little bit more than they had been early June there. Are we respecting this big favorite spot for the Braves here, or is this kind of the pitching matchup? A guy who's red hot against a guy in his second major league start here.
If Senior Lucky is listening, happy Tuesday. The name Birdsong only comes to one. It's Otis Birdsong, an NBA player from way, way back. So all you youngins, you can Google search Otis Birdsong there. I know Mr. Lucky knows who he is. Lopez has been lights out. An overnight number of 190, now 200. I did have an 8.5 overnight, now down to 8. I don't know what you're going to get from Birdsong. If you like the Braves today with Lopez on the mound, San Fran has been a slow starter, but they chip away. If you want to play Braves first 5 tonight, minus the hook, I don't have a problem with that. After that, I kind of sort of do. I don't know. I lean Braves here, but the only way I know how to get in would be the first 5 minus the hook. The team totals, as we were talking, of course, they shaded the Braves now. 4.5 juiced over now, minus 120. You can get San Fran 3.5 under, minus 130. So I'm going to say a sneaky play on the other side. San Fran team total over 3.5. You can get them at plus 110.
I like it. I'll throw in maybe a little bit on a home run prop here. Lopez does not allow home runs very often. However, one man in this lineup who used to be in Kansas City and played against him in Chicago a lot, Jorge Soler, 12 for 19 lifetime off of Reynaldo Lopez. He eats this man's lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 12 for 19, 3 bombs in his career off of Reynaldo Lopez, on top of 2 straight days of 2 hits each the last 2 days against the Braves. 4-game hit streak. He's hitting it well right now. So maybe a little plus 370 on Jorge Soler. Bomb off of Reynaldo Lopez, and a couple of hits plus money. Jorge Soler here. He is eating this man's lunch for his entire career here. Jorge Soler against Reynaldo Lopez.
I love where your eyes are. If you're going to do that, obviously play the prop of over 1.5 total bases on Soler. Yep. Kind of curious how the crowd will take his welcome back to Atlanta there. And so he's got a little chip on his shoulder. So good job there. I like that.
Yeah. Sorry. Total bases is what I meant. Plus money on over 1.5 total bases. That is what I meant. Not. I couldn't find a 2-hit prop. Usually like the over 1.5 bases over the hits. As long as the odds are good enough for the bases there. So that is what I meant on that one. So I appreciate that. But another White Sox pitcher who's been dynamite so far this year here. Let's see. Moving on down the line, we can skip over a couple of these here. You've got the Phillies in Chicago for the ice cold up until a big late game push. Maybe not yet. They didn't play yesterday, so that was Sunday. Saturday, late game push for the Cubs on that one. They did lose 2 out of 3 to the Brewers there. Struggle against the Giants in some big series here. So this Cubs team is reeling, yet we find them at minus 120, my friend. We've got a bit of a goofy pitching matchup here. Michael Mercado for the Phillies here. This is start number 2 of his career. Only win an inning last time out against Detroit. Not sure if that's the plan again, is an inning and kind of a bullpen start for him here. And then you got Wesneski for the Cubs, for who also for the most part of the season has been kind of a bullpen guy, starting to shift into a a starter role out of necessity here. 4 innings last time out, 2 hits, 3 earned runs against San Francisco himself. So a goofy pitching matchup here, but a fair to be concerned about the Phillies tonight here against this ice-cold Cubs team.
No, I think you're spot on. We'd lost earlier. I think it was on the weekend. They gave us a 5.5 Phillies team total. No Schwarber, no Harper. We got the banana in the tailpipe. I think they scored. I think they were actually shut out that game, to be honest with you. Today, their team total is only 4.5, juiced under. So if you like the Phillies tonight, I can get them to get to 5 at even money. It's an under over a 9.5. The Cubs, you can get 4.5 over, minus 110. First 1 to 5 wins this game. It's a Cub number to me. Again, Mercado versus Wisniewski. It's almost like I was thinking of that tennis guy, Wozniacki or whatever, something similar to that. I had an overnight number of Cubs minus 130. The books did exactly what they wanted. They wanted some Phillies money. Now at the circa 116, you can get the Phillies plus 106. I like the Cubs first 5. I like the Cubs full game. And I even like the Cubs to get to 5 today. I would not be shocked. But for me, reading the market, Phillies are struggling right now without Schwarber, without Harper. They're trying to get to the All-Star break. We got less than 2 weeks till then. Tonight is Tuesday. The All-Star game will be in 2 weeks from today on the 16th. Give me the Cubs. Give me the team total over. If you want to get cute, first 5. I like the Cubs tonight.
Yeah, and it's I mean you know where my allegiances lie in the city of Chicago, obviously, but this Cubs team should be better than what the skid that they're on right now. Pitching staff is obviously a little sporadic right now, but I do think they wake up here. And you saw some fire from our guy Justin Steel or Aluminum on Saturday, kind of riling up his teammate. I don't know if that was Saturday or Friday, riling up the teammates here in Milwaukee, and then you get a big late bomb from Ian Happ in that game for the Cubs there. So obviously lose that series in a bad spot where you need it against your division rival. But I think coming out of that new week here, I kind of see him coming home and whether it be today or the full series here, maybe getting a series win against this Phillies team this week.
Yeah, this, it's funny because some teams coast to the All-Star break. Some tend to heat up and get to that break, and you almost wish you didn't have that break because they got that 8-2 last 10, and they're like, shit, we don't need a 4 or 5 days off here when we're cooking with Crisco. Look for some of these teams that we expected more from. The Cubs are definitely one of them. Don't forget, the Phillies have always been a second-half team. Well, they did their second-half work in the first half. They're one of these teams that'll get us to the All-Star break so we can get Schwarber and Harper back. So again, I think it's a good spot for the Cubs tonight.
Yep, 100% there. So let's talk about it for a second. You talked about Mr. Dallas Keuchel Day. The gift that I don't remember at what point that was, where I know you and I were talking a lot. He only pitched a handful of times last year, so I want to say maybe 2022, that was the real nice meal ticket there. So 2 years ago, I think it was. He only pitched in 10 games last year. So, but he is on the mound for the Milwaukee Brewers in Colorado here. Ryan Feltner is not having much success here in this season himself here. Only 2 earned runs, but 4 runs allowed total last time on 6 hits. 6 earned runs before that. You can kind of almost pencil them in for 6-7 runs allowed at least here in most of these games. But you got the Milwaukee Brewers minus 120. Total 11.5. You said I almost would have respected a 12.5, 13 if I was going way over on this game here. Not to say these guys won't get some runs up on the board, but I don't know if it'll be the total shell show that we might expect out of these 2 pitchers here.
No, you see Keuchel, you see Colorado, and again, this should be 12.5, 13. Something smells in Mudville, and both team totals. Brewers 5.5 over minus 135, and the Rockies 5.5 juiced under minus 120. So you're telling me I can go to the window right now and I can get the Rockies team total to get to 6 or better. I don't need the extra point. I don't need the 2-point conversion. And you're giving me even money. Sign me up. Something smells here. Something smells. And I'm just going to take my Milwaukee Brewers team total last night to the window. We cashed that. and I'm just going to watch this game come back 4-3 or something stupid.
I know you would feel like a crazy person betting the under in this game, but it almost is what what the right play out of this game is. You would feel like an insane person, but I will endorse it with you. Give me a 4-3, 5-3, something like that is what I could see out of this one as well. So that one is 7:40 my time, 8:40 your time. The three late games here. We don't need to go through all three of them necessarily here, but you got the D-backs in LA for the Dodgers. Bobby Miller hosting Ryan Nelson. Nelson coming off.
There was a switch. I got to switch. Because I've been like Kannon for the Angels. I've been fading Nelson. I've been taking the opponent's team total over against Nelson. I'm showing on wagertalk.com odds page right now a switch in red to Mantiply. And so the line hasn't moved. The Dodgers were minus 190 with Bobby Miller, now 185. The team totals still 4.5 over minus 135 for the Dodgers. 3.5 over minus 125. I did have Dodgers team total over. I'm going to back off without Nelson. I don't know if it was a scratch or they're going to push him back a day. I obviously would lean Dodgers first 5 minus the hook still. But other than that, I'm going to stay away.
Yep, that is a good call. I on this other app confirmed that it is Mantiply here. So that is a good call on that one. Angels and Oakland, and then I'll kick it to you to see if you had anything else to talk about. We obviously mostly just baseball tonight, so getting through most of the slate here. But shoot, lost it. Angels and A's in Oakland. A's obviously finally starting to not that they were really a contender in the first place, but starting to come way back down to the earth that we expected of them here this season. Mitch Spence on the mound, 8 hits, 6 earned runs last time against these Angels. Up against Jose Serrano. Did not face this A's team. He was actually on a little bit of some time off. This is his first start since June 12th. Had been a couple good starts up until he went off the rotation there. And you've got a Angels team minus 115 on the road here. A little stinky on this one, my friend.
100%. Your eyes are spot on. And again, you said Spence got his lit up last time. Usually expect the opposite in the second time. This is definitely an Oakland number. Overnight number, Angels minus 115, now down to 110. I like Oakland plus 100 full game. If you want to just not worry about the back end, take a look at Oakland first 5. An 8 over minus 20 cents. At DraftKings now 7.5. over 15 cents, or expecting a pitcher's duel. I would lean under, but I think if you want to get into this game, Oakland team total over 3.5 minus 20 cents. I think they get to 4 today. So I like Oakland first 5. I like Oakland to get to 4 or better, and I like Oakland to win the full game tonight.
I'm with you, my friend. That one definitely stood out. Especially, Angels 7-3 their last 10. Not just a slide A's team, but an Angels team that's actually been playing well these last couple weeks here. So, any other few games to fill in the cracks? If you had anything else before we get on out of here.
I'll just say 2 things. Tampa at Kansas City. Both teams have been my kryptonite. Gil Alexander's team to have the most wins is Kansas City. If I bet on the Rays, they can't score. I know that for a fact. They could stand on second and hit the ball off a tee, and they still couldn't get a base hit. But I'm just saying the overnight number was Kansas City minus 120. Singer versus Lytle down to 112, a 9 to a 9.5. Now, I like the Rays today, and their team totals 4.5 with a 9.5. I think they get to 5 or better today. I think it's a Rays game. The Kansas City should be favored by more than this, and they're not. So keep an eye on the Rays to win the game today. And their team total, believe it or not, I think they'll get to 5 or better. And I think the game of the night is in Seattle. Baltimore at Seattle, Rodriguez versus Kirby. You don't see this very often, guys. Kirby as a dog at home. Big expectations for Kirby. Struggled early. He's had some hit or misses. I had Grayson Rodriguez minus 120 overnight. The books got what they wanted. They wanted some home dog money coming in. Now it's minus 110. You can get Seattle plus 100. I like Baltimore on the road, get away from Camden. I think they win the game, full game. Maybe it could be a tie game, first five. I'm not messing with the first five. I like Baltimore full game. Under over a 7. You can get Baltimore to get to 4 tonight or better at even money.
I like it. I mean, you've got Red Hot Kirby coming in, and like you said, not often you see him at home as a dog there. And a flat 7 tells you that you could get a good Grayson Rodriguez start if that's what we're talking about out of maybe a little regression from Kirby there. So I am with you, my friend. I do not have much else to put down. I believe we touched on almost every single game, if not save for 1 or 2 there.
Yeah, and I'll just throw in, he does this very often. I'm not calling him Ricky Henderson, but Gunnar Henderson starting the ball game with a home run there. Put some pizza and beer on a home run. Do you have the home run number for Gunnar Henderson tonight?
Oh, boy. Give me 1 second here. I was about to give you mine there. Gunnar Henderson, 340, plus 340 in Seattle.
Hey, it'll pay for a lobster roll on 4th of July.
Not bad. And then I was going to go, I kind of started the show before you got here with the Cleveland and White Sox game there. I think I might go a couple guys on Cleveland to hit one off of Chris Flex in there. You've got Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez. Ramirez 270, Naylor 300. Jose Ramirez obviously a bad man, and Josh Naylor owns this White Sox team these last 2-3 years there. So those two guys, I could see them both going deep out of this game here. Jose Ramirez, not a home run on Sunday, but a home run Saturday and Friday in Kansas City. Tough park to hit a home run in. So I'll go Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor there.
If Senior Lucky and Dr. Lance nailed this one, I gave out on Thursday a J-Ram homer, and I says, I guarantee you this. When I put him in on our home run props, he doesn't hit one, but I can guarantee you this. He'll hit one the next 2 days, and it's exactly what he did. So if I give out J-Ram today, he doesn't hit one, make sure you come back in the next 2 days because he's got to.
No, I know, and he had 2 hits on that Thursday, but no bombs. So he slapped you in the face a little bit, but he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home runs in his last 8 or 9 games. So the guy is right there, and he's got some favorable conditions, I will say, from what I see against Chris Flexen at home here in Cleveland, my friend.
And I'll close with this before we get your closing thoughts. I know Aaron Judge is going to be the MVP unless he breaks down, which I'm not rooting for, of course. He will win the MVP in the American League, and Shohei Ohtani will win the MVP in the National League. See if you can parlay these two and get plus money, because you won't be able to anyways. But my point is, when I was playing Little League back in 78, there was a thing called the Unsung Hero. When I was 12, I was all of 4 feet. I couldn't break a pane of glass, but I had the biggest curveball in the history of mankind. And we won the regular season and lost in the playoff championship. My point is, I won this trophy called the Unsung Hero and didn't expect it. And my point is, if you asked me and I had a vote, J-Ram is the MVP of the American League. The Guardians are playing so far over their expectations and their skis, and no Tito, no problem. And they just death by 10,000 paper cuts, as Scott Webb would say, and they just find ways to win. And this guy, J-Ram, took a hometown discount to stay in Cleveland. God bless you. I know you're not going to win the MVP, but you're the ECSI Unsung Hero and the MVP up to the All-Star break.
He is definitely a guy that needs some more love when it's all said and done, because he gets his respect, but some other guy, he's as consistent as they come year over year as far as these conversations are, where, of course, like you said, Judge is, barring anything crazy, Judge is going to win the MVP. But, no, I mean, maybe I'm close to the situation because he kicks the White Sox, year in and year out for the majority of my adult life now at this point. So, I've a guy that I've had so much respect for, though, in that same sentence there. So, Closing thoughts, my friend. I don't have too much crazy. Just everyone stay safe and have a fantastic 4th of July. Obviously, it can get a little crazy depending on what you're doing, but make sure you stay safe. It is a fun holiday. But enjoy some burgers, enjoy some brats, enjoy some dogs, and light off some fireworks. But don't get too crazy. We need you back here on Friday, July 5th.
Well, with the holiday on Thursday, and happy life is a happy wife / bride. We are giving Riley the rest of the week off. So Riley will have tomorrow, because we'll have tea time wages at 5:00. Thursday's 4th of July. And we want Riley to get an extended vacation to come back for 1 full week with us the following week. And then we get to the All-Star break. How's that, sir?
That works for me, my friend.
At exactly 8 minutes from now, Scotty Webb in the batter's box, a.k.a. Mr. Lucky. MLB top plays will break down the way Scotty does the best sabermetrics. Have some questions ready for him. He loves questions. Have a game for him to break down. And tomorrow is Wednesday. I'll have Andrew McGinnis here at 3 and Brady Kannon back at 5:00. Tea time wagers and the John Deere Classic. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Cash some tickets. Hang around for Scotty in 8 minutes. We'll see you soon.